chances are an AI phone system is going to be cheaper than
Oh,
your call
huge.
service by far. And
Yeah.
as you said, it's going to be better and more accurate at providing information and answering questions. And it will be more effective at capturing contact information and getting people to book appointments. It's a win-win-win. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like it's the biggest no-brainer that I've ever come across
Yeah.
in my 30 plus years of technology and marketing. I mean, it's insane.
Plug those leaks, people.
Yep. So Ian, when you plug the leaks, where do you put them?
You put them in a CRM system, Ken,
All right.
a customer relationship management software. That's what CRM means, in case some people don't know. But that's where they should be going into, because if you have, unless you're a sole proprietor, and I would argue even then you should be using a CRM system, because we can't keep everything, on track in our brains, because we're wearing too many hats. If you're a sole proprietor, I think we've all been there before. But then as soon as you start introducing team members, oh my goodness, like you need a central place to track your clients or prospects keep track of everything that's going on with them, it's your knowledge base of that person. And as you build a relationship, you're including everything from, hey, what was the original source of this person? Was it a referral? Was it organic traffic? Was it ads? Whatever. What downloads have they done? A lot of the CRM systems can even be integrated with billing platforms. And then when you combine your CRM with marketing automation, if you're not doing that now, you should be looking into that, because just everything the guys have talked about, with automation, AI, when you combine the power of a CRM system, super powerful. So businesses, like some of the statistics, businesses using a CRM see sales. Like this is just CRM information or stats. If you use a CRM, you see sales increases by 29% on average, and a productivity rise by 34%. And anybody that's gone from a team that writes things down on a pad of paper, versus putting it into a CRM system, and the human behavioral aspect of getting people trained on it and using it properly, so key to that. But it's such a dramatic effect. And you've also institutionalized your people's knowledge. And I think that is priceless, because if you have multiple salespeople and one of your salespeople walks away, like when I worked in the corporate world, I remember one of my B2B sales guys that I worked with, he kept everything in a pad, like a notebook, because he wanted to be able to walk away with his book of business, even though he had to keep some information in the CRM system. It was pretty early days of CRM systems in this particular business, but his book of business was in that notebook, and he knew he could walk away at any moment. But as a business, you never want that, right? You want your institutional knowledge to stay with your business and not lose those clients, for sure. So it's a central place. It's a place to keep all your information. It reduces information loss across your teams. It creates continuity, right? So, all of us have been on calls with a telecom, like, hey, my bill's too high. I want to try to bring my bill down for my internet phone and cell phone and TV and whatever, because they keep creeping up. And then you've talked to people, time after time, and they say, oh, I'll update your records, Mr. Cantle. And, the next time you call, the records aren't updated. They're like, are you still at this address 3 addresses ago?
Yeah.
Like, it just drives you crazy as a customer. So, there is a better way. Use the CRM to help you. Again, we're talking about the power of tools, and tools in the right hands, and learn how to use it. And then, because CRMs are now being integrated with marketing automation, being integrated with AI, they will help you tremendously. And just going back to something you guys talked about a minute ago, it just made me think, like, some of the people that are slow to get into these tools, like a CRM platform, like marketing automation, like leveraging AI appropriately, like just stop for a second and think about who your biggest competitor is. Doesn't have to be big in size, but they're your direct competitor, and think like, what's the impact going to be to my business if they jump on these tools and I don't? Like, how will it affect my own business? And we all know, like, if we stop to think about it, it's catastrophic to our business, because they'll do a better job of customer service. They'll do a better job of making people feel valued. Communication will be better. Their marketing will be better. Like, it just keeps going and going. And I think as business owners, we need to contemplate that for sure. Yeah.
And let's be very clear, an Excel spreadsheet is not a CRM.
Yeah.
It's got to be a system that you don't have to make it complicated. You don't have to use every bell and whistle it offers, but you want a growth path and you want to take advantage of the ones that matter to your business and to your clients. And that's going to be some level of automation, some level of personalization based on the CRM data, and some level of AI to help you get things done more efficiently.
What about a Rolodex?
And be super choosy. Sorry, Paul.
No, I said, what about a Rolodex? Is that a CRM?
Only if you can plug it into the computer.
Okay.
I was just going to say, like, do a needs analysis too. Like, be super choosy about what CRM you choose, because once you get in there, you don't want to have to reinvest all of the human capital that goes into putting it in place, getting it up to speed, getting all your data in there, and then the behavioral change that happens within your business. That's why CRMs are pretty sticky software. Like, once you decide on one, you're probably going to stick with it for years and years, because it's just such an integral part of your business. I also wanted to just real quick mention, like, some of the tools that you'll want to know about are High Level, which is through agencies like ourselves. Super amazing tool. CRM, automation, social media, like AI integrated, call AI bots. Like, it's cutting edge stuff.
Calendar scheduling.
Yeah, like, you name it, it's built by agencies for agencies. So it's exactly what we need to serve our clients well and for you to do well. Then there's other tools like HubSpot, Zoho. Keep is, I'm not a big fan of Infusionsoft or Keep, but Keep is I did look it up. They've got some AI integrated now. All of these tools do. Jobber, I was pretty impressed by some of the new integrations they've done. Pipedrive. So those are just a few tools, if you're familiar with them, or if you have them, start looking at some of the AI integrations that can help you. And if you don't have one or you're ready to switch, talk to one of the marketing guides, because we can help you tremendously for sure. What are the biggest strengths and weaknesses of hiring a full service marketing agency?
Yeah, well, I think the strengths are that you've got a one-stop shop for both strategy and execution. And I think the other thing that it does is it eliminates multiple players who may have conflicting interests. For example, if you're hiring several marketing companies all at the same time instead of one single company, then and one's doing Google ads and the other's doing SEO or whatever, they're going to focus on what's going to make them look the best. And sometimes that's going to be not sharing data that should be shared with the other partner who's delivering the service for you. You would hope that doesn't happen, but it does all the time. And everybody, look, the world of marketing right now, it's a hungry world. There are marketing people who are popping up like crazy, who are claiming that they're the end all be all, that they can do this and they can do that. They want as big a slice of the pie as they can, even if they're not qualified to do it. They're gonna make it sound like they can, and so you have to be really careful about that. Having one company that you know and trust that has been doing this for years and is on top of the ever-changing, rapidly changing world that we're seeing, with technology and AI in particular, is super important. The team, if you will, that you're going to get with this full service agency they're going to have multiple specialists. They're going to have people who are good at social media. They're going to have people who are good at SEO, design, graphic design, website design, content creation, paid ads, marketing automation, you name it. And since one company's working the whole program, you should get consistency across channels, and the amplification effect that is really what makes digital marketing supercharged when you do it right. And these, a full service marketing agency should have a strong past performance record, and therefore have built processes and solution sets in place to where they could rapidly deploy and manage and track the essential things for your clients or for the client. The weaknesses, it may cost more, honestly. I mean, you get what you pay for. So, but the nice thing for you as a small business owner is you've got one person to poke when you have a problem. Instead of trying to figure out, is this a such and such problem? Is it a such and such problem? Who do I contact? It gives you that point of contact. So that's another strength, even though the cost may be more. Typically, when you hire a single company, there is less flexibility in scope change. A good marketing company is going to have a program that is going to be a monthly retainer-based service, and that's going to include a fixed set of solutions. And you need to understand how that works. Now, there may be flexibility within the structure of that contract. So, for example, if you need to amp up your lead generation because business is a little slow, maybe you back off doing some social media posts and then reinvest that in a PPC campaign, a paid Google ad campaign, and kind of trade a little bit of money within the overall program, to the extent that that's possible. Because not all marketing services within these programs are equal value. So some things are going to cost more to deliver and whatnot. So that's why you're going to have a little bit less flexibility in scope. Communication can be slower than in-house communication, although honestly, my experience is the exact opposite. Too many times, internal people are pulled so many different directions that they actually, and the two hands don't talk to each other within the organization. And so having an outside third party who's got the focus of running the entire marketing program, I think almost always it turns out to be a strength instead of that weakness. Almost always. Now, it depends on who you hire, obviously. Because it's not somebody within your team, there may be some cultural corporate culture issues. They may not use exactly the same language. They may not be fully understanding of, the true value proposition that you have throughout the entire levels of the organization. That may be a little bit disconnected, but again, this is why you want to vet an agency before you hire them, because they should make that a non-issue. But it is a real issue and a common issue, unfortunately. And then the thing I like about full service is they can provide that omni-channel comprehensive solution set to give you the most bang for the buck and the amplification, because when you do marketing in concert across all channels and have all channels feeding and optimizing off of one another, you're going to get a substantial uplift than if you did all of these things individually without them being integrated and coordinated. So I think from that perspective, those are the things that I see. I think obviously the biggest risk is if you don't hire the right company in the first place. Yeah. Now you've got all of your eggs in one basket. And I think that's why a lot of people kind of think, okay, well, maybe I'll hire somebody to do social over here because they say that that's what they're really good at, and I'll hire somebody over here. There are risks on both sides. I think the optimal solution, I'm biased, obviously, because I own an agency, But I think the optimal solution is to buy a full service agency if you can afford to do so. Just make sure you hire the right one. And if you don't know who to hire a marketing consultant to help you select the right solution. Or, like we have a series of small paid engagements, to prove that we're the right company that you should be working with, or to find out you're not a customer that we really can effectively help, or maybe we just don't click. And so spending a little bit of money up front before you make that long-term investment through a marketing strategy audit, through a total online presence audit, through an SEO audit, through an AI audit or a technology audit. I mean, there are really great lower cost solutions to make sure you're hiring the right company.
So I want to jump into the next part, and that's really looking at the junior marketer side of things. So Paul, what are the risks of trying to do all marketing in-house? So we talked about in-house marketing, but this is especially, I wanted to draw this out a little bit because I do see this as a common thing that pops up nowadays, especially with the prevalence of AI being available for content creation and that kind of stuff. But what are the risks of trying to do all the marketing in-house, especially with a junior hire?
Trying to do everything in-house. It's because, look, when we talk about a junior marketer, I mean, I guess define exactly what that is.
Let's define it and say it's somebody with less than 4 years experience of marketing out of college, or not out of college.
So right there is that person doesn't have a lot of experience, and they may be good at one or two things, and they may not know anything about other things that need to be done. And someone has to manage this person. Who's going to do that? Is that going to be you, the business owner? Someone's going to have to manage them, probably give them direction. And it really goes back to a few things we've already talked about, is that you're going to pay this person as much or more, even with limited experience, as you're going to pay an agency. So, and one person can't do everything. Whereas an agency, and I think Ken mentioned this, that they may have a person that's good at technology, and they may have a person that's good at writing, and they may have a person that's good at SEO. So they have different people within an agency that are good at these different things. And that one person with 4 years experience is not going to be as good at all these different things as someone that's what they do. And I think that's really what it comes down to. So a lot of people say, well, Jeff, I believe, or maybe it was you, Ian, that mentioned this, that, well, for what you're charging, I can hire someone. Well, no, you can't. I mean, yeah, you can, but you're looking at nothing but price. You're not looking at everything that needs to be done, and one person can't do all those things. You may think they can as a business owner, because you're saying, oh, I can hire this person for X amount of dollars and just bring it in-house. But again, that they may have one or two skill sets that they're really good at, but what about the other things they're not good at? And so I think that's really the main problems it comes down to. You're still going to wind up outsourcing certain things. I just don't see how you get around that. If you hire someone, what we're calling a junior marketer, I think you're still going to be outsourcing certain things. I don't see how you get around that.
So let's talk about video types that have the most impact. And these include webinars, product videos, and testimonials. So a small business, really needs to try to find a way to prioritize these and get these types of videos in their budget. Webinars actually rank as the second most impactful video type. Product demos and testimonials are probably the top performers. And they even actually typically outperform social clips, unless they are the social clip that you're doing, I suppose. You don't need a lot of fancy equipment to do a lot of this stuff. If you want to do a webinar recording, you literally can use Zoom or any video meeting platform that you want, whether it's Teams, whether it's Google Meet. Have a decent mic, make sure there's nothing distracting in the background, and make sure audio quality is always really important. And what's interesting is a lot of times what deters people from watching videos more than anything is poor audio quality, which is really an interesting thing because you wouldn't necessarily think about that. So you've got to think about the quality of your audio for sure. You might want to invest in a good microphone if you don't currently have one, and you can capture testimonials a variety of different ways. We've got several different tools that we use, but an easy fallback is do a Zoom call, or a Google Meet call, record that video, get the permission obviously from your customer to be able to use that testimonial, and just record the screen. You can do it with product walkthroughs. Now, if you have a physical product, you might need to think more about hiring, somebody who can actually capture better quality stuff. But, I mean, this isn't video, but it is image based. If you're a restaurant, one of the things that you really need to be doing to get people to come in is you need to have great photos of your food, on your website, on your Google profile, shared through social media. And I'm sure that this applies for video content as well. You can take an average looking picture of a dish that you have at your restaurant, run it through an AI image enhancer, and turn it into a fantastic looking meal that's still very representative and very accurate of the food, but it takes care of all of the distracting crap, the poor lighting, turning meat where it looks green because of the lighting. It fixes that kind of stuff where you actually have appealing looking video images. You can do the same thing with video. So it's just, if you're not doing this, you're missing out, and I guarantee your competitors are starting to do it more and more. And it's just super important. You can also use live videos if you want. Those are actually, I don't know that those are performing nearly as well as they used to. A couple of years ago, live video was the hottest thing on the planet. Now Facebook is saying, oh, we're going to remove your live video recordings that have been on your Facebook page, after a certain period of time. So it's like, okay, not many people can afford to catch the live. And if it's not archived and available, it's just crazy to me. So I don't understand that trend, but just recording, the biggest challenge, and I know you were talking about this earlier, I think the biggest challenge for a business is just having somebody naturally capture the work as they're doing it. So if you're, if you're a dentist office, just shoot some video of the office and turn it over to a team that can do video editing and use AI enhancement tools. And they can turn that into a fantastic video that highlights, the inside of your facility. And that may be the thing that gets people over the hurdle to say, I don't want to go to a dumpy looking, dentist office. I grew up doing that. That's not appealing to me. I want to know that I'm going to somebody who's cutting edge, and so leverage the power of video, but you're probably going to have somebody on your team who has to capture some of that raw footage, whether it's images, whether it's raw video. That's okay. They don't have to be editors. They don't have to capture the perfect stuff. With a good marketing company advising you, they can tell you the types of content that you need to provide them and give you guidance on giving decent quality stuff that we can work with.
Yeah, to that end, just in addition to that, one of the ways that we've recently found very helpful for some of our clients is, especially the ones eager to do authentic content, is to actually do the brainstorming for them. Like we usually do kind of a collaborative effort with them, and we talk about who on your team are the champions that can help with this, what are some specific things you guys want to talk about, but then we actually build out a calendar for them with here's the week, especially for the bigger teams, right? Here's the week, here's the location, here's the topic that should be covered, and here's actually a sample of how you can go about doing that. So we don't tend to give them scripts, because then people will read them and we don't want them, and they know the content that we're asking them to talk about, right? It's more just trying to help them get over the hump of, I don't even know what to talk about on video. And so this is just a very prescriptive way where they and their teams know, okay, here's who's responsible for it this week. Here's what they're going to talk about. And then they give it to us as their marketing team, and we produce it for them, right? But if they can give us that raw content, we're halfway there for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So Ian, let's talk about interactive video features like calls to action or lead generation forms. These typically perform when they're in videos up to 24%. So how can a small business take advantage of incorporating interactive features like these?
Yeah. And first, I want to be super clear. These differ a lot depending on the platform that you put your videos on, right? Like Wistia, because it's an enclosed platform, like I was sharing earlier, it has different functions than YouTube has. And so you need to understand, first of all, how you're going to deliver this video content out, because if you want to be showing up for searches on YouTube, which is the second largest search engine on the planet, then you have to be cognizant of, okay, here's the calls to action that I can use within the YouTube platform versus the Wistia platform. On the Wistia platform, there's some really great functionality where you can embed in your video, give us a form. So you can do this in the video in different spots if you want. So there's actually statistics that they provided. If you have a fairly short video, you want to put the form or the call to action, and I'll share a few more of those in a second, but you want to put those at the very, within the first minute of the video. If your video is longer, you want to put it midway through the video. And then if your video is like a 30 to 60 minute long video or 60 plus minute long video, you want to put it near the end of the video. It's just been, their statistics show that you get a much higher conversion rate if you do that. So you have to be mindful of, your audience, the platform, and then where to put this in order to be more successful. But you could also just do trial and error too. And if you're producing stuff, try a call to action, put it in a certain place, see what the response is. Some other calls to action are like download this report. It could be a button, and stuff like that you can do on YouTube as well as in Wistia. You can have links in your descriptions, right? There's lots of stuff you can do, but you can embed stuff right in there that really helps boost up conversion rates and get people to interact with your video. So those are some key calls to actions that you can do. Putting in buttons, annotation links, all of that kind of stuff. But ultimately it has to jive with the topic of your video. Like what you're offering needs to align with the topic of the video, because that's what attracted people. And you want to, again, have a high valued offer to get them to act. So those are some things to think about for sure.
So local search is more than just near me and geo-qualified searches. So I just wanted to dive into this a little bit, because there's a lot going on behind the scenes, and may or may not be something people are interested in, but I think it's good information to know, so you can kind of understand what's going on when you do these local searches. So Ken, let's start at the very beginning, because over the last several years, local search has become so much more important than it was previously. And why is that, and why has it evolved so much?
Yeah, well, so first of all, local search would be something like, plumber, in Rio Rancho, a nearby neighborhood or something like that I'm looking to hire somebody locally, from either a local service area or a brick and mortar business where you're going to be going to that place of business. And so when people are doing those local searches, which are different, there are several different categories of types of searches, right? And so the local searches right now haven't been majorly impacted by AI per se in terms of how you're showing up, for those searches. But the reason that local search is so important is because of people's smartphones. Mobile technologies everywhere. Google has optimized, your website for mobile first for several years now. And a lot of people, when they're looking for a local business, if they've got their smartphone and they're doing that search that way, the phone GPS is telling the search engine where they're physically located. So unless they put another qualifier in, if they just type in plumber, it's going to bias the results based on, if they have the GPS settings turned on their phone, which about 90% of people do. So the key is you've got to realize just how important that is. It's not the same for every business, right? I mean, some businesses, you'll look at the Google Analytics and you'll see that they are still overwhelmingly being found from desktop searches. That's due to the nature of the types of customers that are looking for those businesses. So when we talk about strategy first, here's a perfect example of why you want to do that. You need to think about who is your ideal customer. How are they searching? Are they using mobile devices? Are they using desktops? If your customer base is using mobile a lot, then it's extremely important. If they're still mainly desktop driven, local search is still extremely important. And so I think it's, really this whole concept is just about finding businesses that are the most likely to be relevant to that searcher based on where they are at, either as told to the search engines by their GPS settings on a mobile device, their IP address on a desktop, which may or may not be accurate, by the way. Where I happen to live in Albuquerque, for whatever reason, my internet service provider wants to say that I'm in, like Scottsdale, Arizona. And so half the time when I just do a search, the results that I get are for, Scottsdale, Arizona. And it's, but so then when you don't get the result that you want, you put a qualifier in. That qualifier is very frequently a location, a neighborhood, a suburb, or a city to refine the search results so that you can find somebody local that you want to do business with. About 21% of consumers, according to Bright Local, are going online every day to find a local business. 77% each week and about 97% every month. So every small business out there that is doing business in a local market, not a national market or even a regional market, but I'm talking a local metropolitan, suburban, small town market, whatever those are, local search is absolutely critical for you.
That's interesting about what you said about your ISP thinking you're in Scottsdale, because usually these IP addresses are basically bought, or these IP addresses are bought in blocks by the ISPs, and it's usually pretty accurate because they'll assign this block to this area and this block to this area.
Yeah,
that's kind of interesting.
They probably just got the parent company address on it, right?
Could be.
Yeah. Mine does that sometimes. Yep.
So, Ian, Ken touched on a few different things, but how is local search different from a normal search?
Yeah, I think Ken described it pretty well. I'll just give another analogy, and I think the actual data that, Ken, you pulled from the Bright Local report, I have a feeling that's probably bloated in some way. And the reason I think that, and I think you guys would probably agree with me on this, is that so many people, we don't store data in our contacts anymore in the same way we used to. So what I mean by that is, I had to go to a walk-in clinic because I had a problem. I thought I broke my finger. So I had to go in, get it x-rayed. Then I had to go back for a ultrasound. And between those days when they did those, I couldn't remember the phone number, right? And I had to confirm my meeting, my appointment. And so I just Googled it each time. But in the eyes of the analytics that these reports pull, it's saying, hey, I was searching for a local business. And yes, indeed, I was searching for a local business. But it's also because our human behavior now is just, it's not lazy, it's resourceful, right? We just don't want to store the information anywhere else. So I think that happens an awful lot for, you name it. So, but as far as analogy of how local search works, I mean, especially when you're on your mobile phone, right? You're driving through town, you get a flat tire, you're like, oh crap, like I need to get towed and I need my tire fixed. And maybe the same place can do it. So you look for a tire shop in town, you Google it probably, or if you're using Apple, you Siri it, or whatever tool you're using, you use the tool at your disposal. And we'll use Google because Google by far gets the most share of searches right now. It's 80 to 93%. It depends kind of what data you're looking for. Even with AI, Gemini's part of that now. But you're looking for a local mechanic, tire shop, whatever it is. You type that in, and what Google does is it throws up the results, right? It's going to say, hey, here's the ones that are closest to you. And it's going to show you star ratings. It's, Google, because, as Ken was saying, unless you turn off your GPS, your location service, Google knows exactly where you are and it knows the closest providers near you. So it's essentially you're doing a, tire shop near me search, and that's the results you're going to see, which is fantastic. And without getting too technical, the proximity is super important when you're doing searches like that. Google knows where you are. It's trying to connect you with the most relevant results as close as possible to you. So it's pretty simple. We do it every day. I think we take it for granted of how well this works now. These geo-targeted searches. But it's different than kind of broader Google searching. Those geo-specific searches bring up the maps, and we'll get more into detail of kind of the slicing and dicing, what those look like, the local finder looks like, and that kind of stuff, or the local pack. But does that answer your question, Paul?
Yeah, and the local finder, that's kind of a behind the scenes thing that most people don't realize, maybe not important, but I thought it was interesting to touch on because it does kind of trigger a different algorithm.
Yeah, so for sure.
What types of content help attract the right talent?
Yeah, this is an interesting question because honestly, I think it's the same content that you should be putting out to your customers, by and large. Because what a lot of businesses do is they do a really good job of talking about their solutions, and it's it's way too much feature based instead of benefit based in terms of their content. But if you think about it, if you show projects in action, if you show the end results, if you show the members of your team on your website, I mean, one of the things we always want to look for on a homepage of a website is there anybody from the business on the homepage of the website, the predominant person that is either the focal point of the business or built the business or the team of people that may be coming into your home? When you don't have that information, what kind of message are you sending to customers, one, but then also prospective employees? So I don't know that there's a whole lot of difference here. I think you just want to make sure that you pay extra attention. I think you want to humanize your business, and that's differentiation. Oftentimes that many small businesses in particular kind of miss. What community events are you participating in, or causes are you helping out with? Sports teams, local, Kiwanis type sports teams, or little league football teams, or
football in Canada might be different.
It is. It is.
It's almost the same. It's just a different size ball, a different field, but it's almost the same.
Yeah. And so, are you sponsoring any of those local teams? I mean, people care about that stuff. Your customers, but also your employees are going to care about that stuff. So you really have to think about bringing the human element into your business. I think a lot of small businesses to this day, even now, don't want to put anything that really talks about their business on their website because they're afraid their competitors are going to see it and steal it. Well, guess what? Your customers will never see it and your potential employees will never see it. So get over it. It's time to make sure your business is human. Let people know what's important to your business. It speaks to the values of your company. It speaks to what's important. And that really resonates. I think more and more people are wanting to work for a business that they feel good about working for. And so if you're not creating that content naturally already, which has massive benefits to reach your customers, you're missing the boat. You could also take advantage of getting your employees involved. One of the things that social media is a perfect way to do this. You can feature key employees. You can do little feature stories, little articles, little write-ups, highlight them on social media, do a blog post about them. So many do, obviously recording videos about them, with them, interviewing the employees who work. We talk all the time about getting reviews from customers. Get reviews from employees as well, and put those out there for people to consume, because that's, I as a consumer, I want to hire people who like the company they work for. I mean, to me, I think that that's a really important thing. We've got a customer that, their tagline is, basically focused on customer happiness. And that starts with making sure that their employees are happy. And so it's not any different content than what you should be creating already. But the problem is nobody tends to create any of this content in the first place. It has benefits for both getting you new customers, but also getting, prospective employees interested in your business. Empower your employees to create content. And, you can do that through, I think a really powerful thing that is going to speak volumes to people. Now some people may be freaked out about this, but I personally love it when I get a home contractor who's going to come into my house and I get a reminder that they're going to be showing up for their appointment. I love it when I get a picture of who's going to be coming to my house. And now if you don't want to be on camera, like some people we know, who is that? Maybe that's not going to help you attract those people. But I think by and large, there's a sense of pride. And, you not only want your customers to feel that sense of pride, you want people to feel like, man, I really want to work for that company. When they feel like that, they're going to take less money, although you may offer them more money. But the beauty of it is you've got the flexibility because you're creating an environment that people want to be a part of. They want to be a part of that team. They want to contribute to solving those types of problems for customers. They want to know that they're going to have resources and backing of the business. And if you don't have that already public facing to your customers, I think you run the risk of being a little two-faced. And I think that can lead to bigger problems down the road.
So I encourage our listeners, if you're looking at a CRM, if you're working with a marketing consultant, they better be telling you about high level. If not, they're not really up to speed with what all is going on, because it is now the largest CRM on the planet in terms of usage. It's surpassed the number of users and instances that are out there. Everybody, what's great about it for us is, as marketing agencies, is we all can take that platform and build our smarts into it to deliver additional value for our customers, which we all do, full disclosure. But that's, it is, in my opinion, it is the game changer platform right now for small businesses. It's affordable, folks. You need to take advantage of it. You need to be working with an agency because you can only get it through an agency at this point, and that's not likely to change anytime soon. So
yeah, they're very reluctant to sell to individuals because they don't want to deal with tech support.
Yeah.
If I can go back to the initial question and some of the things Ian said, I think we're on the verge of it. We're starting to see it now. The folks who are following generative AI closely and what's going on, we're talking about it a little bit before we started. Agentic AI is the next step that is going to enable true personalization at scale. In other words, right now, the AI that Ian was talking about, it's embedded in the tool, it's a chat, it's going to help you write your email template. It's not, and your personalization is going to come from a tag, dear, Curly Bryce's first name, right? And it's going to fill that in, or some note that you've made, some custom field that you've created, it can go fill that in the email template. But it's not truly yet, let me take that back. In the mainstream, it's not truly yet generating one-off emails for every individual client or person. You still got to do the work to take it in. Now, we're very close in agentic AI, and by agentic AI, I mean build a workflow that brings in multiple components. So I might use ChatGPT for one piece, Claude for another, image generation for another, HeyGen for video creation. It's a workflow that stitches all of this together. And now we are seeing the ability to generate a one-off video specifically for a client, a one-off email specifically for a client. Now, couple with that to doing research on that client, where you're researching the things they're saying, the things they're talking about, which give indicators into their mindsets and their pain points. And you've got some real power for true personalization in your marketing communications when you can do a one-off and at scale.
Yeah. I just want to tell you a funny anecdote that happened recently to me, where I was asking ChatGPT to do some deep research on a prospective client I was talking to, or I was coming up to a conversation with them. So I wanted to know more about them. And all of the information, the whole story it kind of framed around this person was all wrong. Like the geographical area where it said they were located was all wrong. The geographic focus of their business was all wrong. Like it was just so funny. I was like, what on earth happened? And these things happen, right? Like it hallucinated.
Data was hallucinating.
Well, I think it just found a piece of information like, oh, the person was born here, so therefore their business must be located there, but they moved halfway across the country when they were young, and it missed that. So, yeah, it was kind of weird.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you need to vet everything AI produces. It's not just set it and forget it. Jeff, let's transition over and let's talk a little bit more about AI, but in this case, AI-driven SEO or search engine optimization. And how does answer engine optimization, also referred to as AEO, a fairly new term, maybe especially to many of our listeners, how does that change the game for SEO?
Yeah. So it's really two questions in one. AI-driven SEO. I'm actually in a workshop all week. I hopped out of it early to come with you guys and record this podcast. One of the tools we all use, and it's specifically an AI-driven SEO engine. So it connects into your website, and it will go out and it'll analyze all the verbiage on your website, even all the images. It will generate AI-optimized alt tags for images, headings, tags, title lines, all the technical stuff you do in SEO content. It will suggest rewordings of content for improving connections between keywords that people are searching for and your content. A whole ton of stuff it can do. So we're seeing these kinds of things where the AI is being applied to doing SEO the traditional way. We would traditionally think of SEO, which is still very content heavy, content driven, backed up by the technical stuff, and then all the other signals like getting backlinks to your site. So all of that still holds and applies, but AI is now being applied to doing it in a very efficient, again, at scale way. The ability to go in and work on entire websites in some cases an afternoon, and tune it up for SEO and to stay out ahead of content generation. So there's that aspect of it, that aspect of AI-driven SEO. And then the second aspect is, you asked about answer engine optimization. So answer engine optimization is being found by the Siris and the Geminis and all the things. If I say their name, they'll probably respond because I've got two other ones in my office here. It's people are conversing with those devices and they're asking questions, and you want to be found by those devices. And the path to getting found, the path to being included, and their large language models that they're pulling from when they're drawing their answers up is a little bit different. So you need to understand how they're working. And again, like a lot of things, you can't just stick your head in the sand and say, well, that's all new. I've been doing it this way for 20 years. I'm going to keep doing it that way. Because if you ignore these things, then you're going to start, losing search share. You're already losing search share probably to zero-click searches, where the algorithms are supplying the summary, and you've got to do a lot of work to be included in that summary. Because just being, halfway down the page now where the organic results start isn't cutting it anymore. So we're seeing some traditional traffic drop-offs and work you need to do to be in the summary. So you're already losing that piece if you ignore the answer engine optimization being included in all the digital assistants that are using AI under the covers to do their thing and figure out the answers they're going to give you. Then you're really, really going to be missing an increasing share of the boat. So there's some things you've got to do that maybe weren't as important in the past. You've got to take advantage of every tool at your disposal. You got to make sure that your website, which is still where a lot of your content's going to come from, right? Make sure it's got good schema markup on it. Schema is a structured way of talking about what a page is about, or what a section of a page is about, what a product on an e-commerce store is about. So you want to make sure that you include all the schema markup that you can, because these different engines are going to be drawing from it. And you want to think in terms of how people are interacting with their devices when they're looking for information now. Probably still heavily Q&A driven, right? So make sure you've got a lot of good Q&A oriented content. And it doesn't have to be just a list of 100, FAQs or SAQs on a page. It can be a page for each. It can be a blog article for each. It can be embedding the questions in the middle of a page of content. So you got to think through all of these ways that you're going to increase the likelihood of being found by the answer engines, because you are the answer for what people are asking for. So think in terms of Q&A, and then think in terms of being conversational. The formal professor at the whiteboard lecturing speak isn't going to cut it anymore. When people are asking questions, they're looking for conversational answers. So maybe shift the tone, shift the voice, shift the language a little bit. And again, I'm not advocating going out and doing a wholesale rewrite of your website, but maybe experiment, do some A/B testing. If you have the ability on your site to A/B test pages, or maybe try an alternate version of a page and see, what kind of results you get and what happens. And again, the danger of not doing this is you're going to start losing visibility. You're going to start losing appearances in search as the search methods are changing. It's a constant struggle in some cases. If you're the business owner that isn't really deep into SEO and doesn't want to be, because you just want to deliver a great product or service, but it is a struggle to keep up with. And if you're not inclined to want to do that yourself, then make sure you connect up with somebody who is and who can do that for you, because you want to stay out there. You want to stay ahead. And what we've done in the past has always worked in the past doesn't mean it's going to work in the future.